Hi guys, Jamie here and welcome to the first ever episode of the VR Culture Show.
I'm Zeena and we're here at the Raindance Film Festival.
Now this is London's biggest independent film festival and VR has been growing here with every year.
We're going to check out some experiences, so sit back, relax and enjoy the show.
From gaming to 360 videos and animation, Raindance features an eclectic mix of VR experiences.
1, 2, 3, 4!
One of the best pieces at this year's show was Battlescar, a furious concoction of storytelling techniques. It tells the story of two disillusioned girls that fall into the late 1970s New York punk scene. Director Martin Allais tells us more.
We wanted to create like a piece that it wasn't interactive, but at the same time use the space in a way that in an interactive and playful way. We start seeing like VR films out there and VR experiences, and we were like trying to understand what we didn't like of them and how we can do like the film that we want to see in VR.
Liberated by the Wild West of VR, Allais and co-director Nico Casavecchia patched together a Frankenstein's monster of a VR film. Battlescar employs an erratic assembly of styles. Just as you start to settle into one, the film changes things up.
The first episode, like all the producers were like, this is too fast. People need more time to see the scenarios and blah blah blah. And Nico and I were like, well, actually all the VR is very boring because it's very slow. Because you don't have like a director's point of view that shows you how to go from one place to the other. So what we want to do is just the opposite. If people want to see more, they need to see it again.
Actress Rosario Dawson lends her voice for an authentic final touch. Battlescar aims to release on home-based headsets in the near future, and Allais is excited for what comes next.
Battlescar for us was like, it's kind of a big spit out of all different techniques that we have in mind that we create, and now we're like more into like coming back to some of those techniques and developing more. I think it's like a smash up of different like techniques and ways of storytelling that they need to be developed, and that's what we want to do hopefully in the following story.
I'm here in North London at Jackson's Lane to see A Box in the Desert. Now this is an award-winning theatrical VR show where you are placed inside of a box as the only audience member and your trust is tested. Let's go check it out. While I was inside of the box, it took me a bit to realise that I could have a real-time conversation with the person in front of me, who was actually Nana Gunnas, along with the help of developer Owen Hindley.
Originally, it's something I wrote in like a Tuesday afternoon. Then Owen said to me that he wanted to turn it into a show in virtual reality. So I said, you do that, honey. I was influenced by like immigrants, like it was like during the time that like all the immigrants were coming from Syria and they're just born there. They want to get out of there and we're just born here and we have the right to be like, no, you can't come here. That was sort of like the underlying origin of it, but then we got another writer in and it's massively changed.
We have a bunch of stuff built. We use probably 75% of it in any given run, and that remaining 25% is the stuff that's different. The timing of everything is super important, so there's like a lot of voice cues that happen at different times, and it's when it works, when an audience member says something that I can then respond with a pre-recorded voice cue and then you say something, it can almost be like it was scripted. It's amazing when it all lines up and it just bang and yes, and those moments are like incredible when they happen.
During my performance, the conversation turned quite hostile, as freedom was my only concern. I'm not in a privileged position. Who are they? What are you doing? That's not the only way this performance can go.
I've had philosophical debates with some people and it's sort of, some people come in laughing and they're immediately like, we had one person that was crying because of like, it reminded her of a family tragedy. So it's really sort of like, that influences what happens in the storyline. And sometimes you get like a really nice connection with the audience member and you sort of like rip off of each other and it sort of goes into a nice flow. And so it's, try to keep it interesting to...
Some of those things become permanent parts of the show.
Yeah, some of them are like, oh, this was great, we should do this again. But you do go through these certain main beats and we kind of like lead that way. But there are three endings, or three endings.
So the design of the characters deliberately intended to be
Neutral.
Neutral as possible. Culturally neutral, genderly neutral. The only thing that I think it's become close to is it kind of looks a little bit like a harlequin or a jester, which is nice because you're never entirely sure where they're going.
Yeah, where
like,
to place
are they
them.
telling the truth?
Despite my own decisions, I was still left wondering which voice was the one I should have listened to.
Oh, I don't want to say that on camera. I think that depends on the audience.
We really hope people come out wondering that as well, like thinking about it for at least a little while afterwards.
Hi, Mum. It's me again. I know that it's been a while since we last spoke.
One of the projects premiering at Raindance is Anonymous. It's a powerfully personal biographical confession from first-time filmer Samantha Kingston. It's all about being a child of an alcoholic parent.
This piece then eventually came to light last year after the passing of my mum in October, and I decided that there was no point in waiting around for it to happen. I should just do it anyway.
Anonymous is a 12-minute monologue in which Kingston embodies the 5 stages of grief. It was shot in Brighton's Old Market Theatre with painful intimacy.
For this particular audience, it might be an audience that might not have necessarily seen 360 or VR before, so it's a brand new way of them talking and discovering other people that have gone through the same experience that I have.
Kingston partnered with a charity named Nakoa, which works with the children of alcoholics. They provided her with crucial insight.
Mad at me? You got mad at me and told me that I was ruining my future. Do you not remember telling me of how I ruined yours?
And for the layout of the 360 film, I wanted it to be in the style of an AA meeting. And from my past experience of working in theatres, we used to have a lot of AA meetings or Weight Watchers kind of meetings in theatres. And that kind of, layout was quite a comfort to me. But because the whole piece is very much a 12-minute monologue, I had to learn that script and do it in 1 or 2 shots, which was, for me, I'm not an actress or anything, and I haven't done that before, that was really difficult. But I think you can see that in the film, the kind of passion and the power that comes through that. The reason why there are more characters or other sides of me is I wanted it to feel like you weren't on your own and you were actually having a conversation with a variety of sides of that one person.
Maybe one more doctor's appointment.
I think it's 1 in 5 children in the UK have a parent that is dependent on a substance, which kind of made me realise that I had to do something because there's not a lot of people that talk about it.
Lost in the life that I had with you.
And also I think it's a great way to introduce this tech to charities as well. It's a completely different audience and it's not something necessarily they might not have access to. So this film is for them as much as it is for me.
So let's go over to the giant lady, shall we?
Meanwhile, Seesaw Scene was showcased just ahead of the festival's opening during London Fashion Week. Artist and fashion designer Paula Canvas-Del-Vas wanted to flip the script on the catwalk with a surreal role reversal.
So up here we've got this giant model bearing down on us, which is kind of crazy to see.
Multiple users explore a virtual gallery where gigantic models adorn the latest trends. It's quietly discomforting, and that's before you realise each model is following you with their eyes like a portrait in a haunted house.
As you look back and forth, you see people are spying on you and you feel watched.
And that sums up this episode of The Culture Show. Follow Upload VR on Twitter and Facebook for when to catch the next episode. And don't forget to subscribe for more original VR series. See ya!